You are losing money right now, not in the market, not through a bad investment, but through silence. Every salary you didn't negotiate, every unfair fee you didn't dispute, every boundary you failed to set with a client or partner is a tax. It is the silent tax you pay for avoiding the conversations that build wealth. This audiobook is not about small talk. It is a weapon. It will equip you with the words, mindset, and courage to transform the most challenging conversations into your greatest financial successes. Your net worth is directly tied to the conversations you are willing to have. If you are ready to stop paying the price of silence, subscribe to this channel now as your first act of commitment. Before we begin, a mandatory notice. The content in this audiobook is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It reflects a specific philosophy on wealth psychology, not direct financial advice. I am not a licensed financial advisor. The ideas presented here are principles for mindset development. All investment carries risk, and you are solely responsible for your own decisions. Always consult with a certified professional before making any financial moves. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Silence Tax. Calculate what avoiding conversations is costing you. Let's begin with a fundamental truth. There is a tax on your income that no government imposes. It doesn't appear on any official document, and no accountant will ever mention it. Yet it is likely the single largest tax you pay every year. It is the silence tax. It is the invisible, relentless drain on your capital, your earnings, and your future wealth. It is the price you pay for comfort. It is the fee you are charged for avoiding conflict. It is the cumulative financial penalty for every time you knew you should have spoken up, but chose silence instead. This tax is levied in moments of hesitation. The salary you accepted without negotiation because it felt awkward to ask for more. The contractor's bill you paid in full despite their mediocre work because you didn't want a confrontation. The subscription service that raised its price and you just let it happen. Each instance feels small, insignificant, but compounded over a year, over a decade, the silence tax is a catastrophic leak in your financial foundation. It is the reason you work so hard, yet feel like you are falling behind. Our goal in this chapter is not to make you feel comfortable. It is to make this invisible tax painfully visible. We are going to conduct an audit, and by the end, you will understand the devastating cost of your silence. You have a choice. Pay the price of conversation or pay the tax of silence. The choice is yours. First, we must diagnose the disease. The reason you pay this tax is not because you are weak or incapable. It is because you are human. You are wired to avoid social friction. You fear the word no. You fear being perceived as difficult, as greedy, as ungrateful. Let me be clear. That fear, that single emotional response, is more expensive than any market crash you will ever experience. A market crash is an event. It is temporary, but the fear of no is a chronic condition, a perpetual tax that bleeds you dry, day after day. It's not about what you feel, it's about what you execute. And for years, you have executed a strategy of avoidance. Today, that strategy ends. Take out a piece of paper. Open a new document. We are doing the work right now. Title it, My Silence Tax Audit. We are going to find the money you are leaving on the table. Category 1, your career. Think back to your last job offer, your last performance review. Did you ask for more? Did you present a data-backed case for why you were worth a higher salary, a larger bonus, or more equity? Or did you accept the first offer and are you grateful to have it? Let's be conservative. Let's say a single 5-minute conversation could have resulted in a modest $5,000 increase in your annual salary. That might not seem life-changing, but you are not thinking long-term, that is a failure of vision. A $5,000 increase isn't just $5,000. Over 10 years, that is $50,000 of raw income. Invested with a modest 8% annual return, that single avoided conversation cost you over $72,000. Now, what if the number was $10,000 or $20,000? Do the math. Write down the number for your own career. Face it. This is the first payment of your silence tax. You don't need their permission to execute your plan, and your plan must be to be paid what you are worth. Category 2. Your services and bills. Look at your monthly expenses. Your internet bill, your cell phone plan, your home insurance, your credit card interest rates. When was the last time you called every single one of these providers and asked, "I am a long-term customer. I am considering other options. What is the best possible rate you can offer me to keep my business?" This conversation takes 10 minutes. The savings can range from $20 a month to $50 a month. Let's say you reclaim just $100 per month. That is $1,200 a year. Every single year, that is $12,000 over a decade, and invested, it is nearly $18,000. That capital could have been working for you. Instead, you gave it away as a gift to a corporation's bottom line, simply to avoid a brief scripted conversation with a customer service agent. That is a choice with your capital. Write down your estimated annual loss in this category. Category 3. Your purchases and agreements. Think of your last major purchase: a car, a home repair, a piece of equipment. Did you get multiple quotes? Did you negotiate the final price? Or did you pay the sticker price because you wanted the process to be over quickly? Did you hire a freelancer and accept their first quote without question? The difference between the asking price and the final price is the professional's battleground. It is where wealth is preserved. Avoiding that negotiation, that small moment of discomfort, is a voluntary donation from your pocket to theirs. Estimate how much you could have saved on your last 3 major purchases. Be honest. The number will likely shock you. Now, add it all up: the career tax, the services tax, and the purchases tax. Look at that final number. That is your annual silence tax. That is the amount of money you burned, not through bad investments, but through inaction. Through silence. It is the key to understanding why your wealth isn't growing faster. You are fighting against a self-imposed headwind. Consider the case of a freelance consultant I coached. She had a client she'd worked with for 3 years. Her rates had never increased. She was terrified to ask for more, fearing she would lose the client. She was paying the tax of silence. I gave her a script. It was 3 sentences long. She practiced it. She made the call. It was a 5-minute conversation. The client not only agreed to a rate increase, but thanked her for her continued partnership. The financial result? A $1,500 per month increase in her retainer. That is an $18,000 a year raise from one conversation. She chose to pay the price of conversation, not the tax of silence. That's the key to long-term wealth. You must reframe these moments. A negotiation is not a conflict. It is a conversation about value. You are not asking for a handout. You are aligning the price of your services, your labor, or your business with the value you provide. Silence is an agreement. It is an agreement that you are happy with the current arrangement. If you are not happy, your silence is a lie, and that lie is costing you a fortune. Your homework is simple, but it is not easy. This week, you will pick one low-stakes item from your audit. One bill. You will call the provider. You will use a simple script. "Hello, I'm reviewing my expenses, and my bill for your service is higher than I would like. What options are available to lower my monthly cost?" That is it. You will not be emotional. You will be professional. It is not about what you feel. It is about what you execute. You will treat this as a business transaction, because that is exactly what it is. You must build this muscle. You must accumulate small wins. The confidence you gain from saving $30 on your internet bill will be the fuel you use to negotiate a $10,000 raise. This is the process. Look again at the number on your audit. This is your motivation. You have a choice. You can continue to let that amount of capital evaporate every year, a quiet tribute to your fear. Or you can decide, right now, to pay the small, temporary price of a difficult conversation to reclaim your financial power. Pay the price of conversation or pay the tax of silence. The choice is yours. You've now learned to audit the cost of your silence. You've identified the leaks. Now we will build the walls that stop those leaks permanently. We will turn your financial life into a fortress. Chapter 2. Your boundaries are your bank account. In the last chapter, we conducted an audit. You looked the silence tax in the eye and calculated the price of your inaction. You now understand the leak, but identifying a leak is not the same as fixing it. To fix it, you must build a new foundation. You must build walls. These walls are your boundaries. Let me be clear. A boundary is not a sign of negativity. It is not a barrier to opportunity. A boundary is the single most powerful financial tool you have at your disposal. It is a declaration of value. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells yourself what you will and will not accept. Your bank account is a direct, unfiltered reflection of the quality of your boundaries. Weak boundaries, low balance. Strong boundaries, a growing fortress of wealth. It is that simple. Most people treat their time, energy, and capital like a public park, open for anyone to wander in, use, and leave a mess. The wealthy treat their resources like a bank vault. Access is restricted. Access is intentional. Access is granted only when it aligns with the primary objective, the preservation and growth of capital. You have been living with the doors to your vault wide open. You have let other people's priorities, emergencies, and poor planning dictate your financial reality. Why? Because setting a boundary feels like a confrontation. It feels uncomfortable. But what is more uncomfortable, a 2-minute conversation or a decade of financial stagnation? The choice is yours. A weak boundary is an open vault for someone else's priorities. Let's examine the evidence. Think of the friend or family member who approached you with a once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity. A new restaurant, a crypto token, a business idea sketched on a napkin. You felt the pressure, the fear of damaging the relationship, the desire to be seen as supportive. So you said yes, you wrote the check, and in 99% of cases that money vanished. That was not an investment. That was a boundary failure. Your desire to be liked overrode your financial intelligence. You did not make a calculated decision with your capital. You made an emotional one. And you paid the price. A strong boundary would have been a simple, firm statement. I appreciate you bringing this to me, but I have a strict policy of never investing in opportunities that fall outside my documented financial plan. No apology, no long explanation. A simple statement of policy. It is not personal. It is protocol. A weak boundary is an open vault for someone else's priorities. Consider the freelancer or business owner. You send an invoice. The payment terms clearly state due in 15 days. Day 16 arrives. Silence. Day 30. Silence. You start to feel awkward. You don't want to bother your client. So you wait. You let them control your cash flow. You let their disorganization become your financial stress. This is not being nice. This is terrible business. You are training your clients to view your terms as merely suggestions. A strong boundary is an automated, unemotional system. On day 16, an automated email is sent This is a reminder that invoice number 123 is now 1 day past due. Please submit payment to avoid any interruption in service. It is not about what you feel, it's about what you execute. You are not a friend asking for a favor. You are a business enforcing a contract. A weak boundary is an open vault for someone else's priorities. The same applies in the corporate world. It's called scope creep. You are given a project, you complete it. Then comes the small request. Could you just quickly look at this too? Could you sit in on this extra meeting? Could you handle this one extra task? You say yes to be a team player, but you are not being paid for that extra work. You are devaluing your time. You are giving away your most finite asset, your focus, for free. A firm boundary is a clear question. I can certainly take that on. To prioritize it, which of my other current tasks should be moved to accommodate the extra time this will require? This statement does not say no. It presents a choice. It reinforces that your time is a zero-sum game. It forces the other person to acknowledge the cost of their request. That's the key to taking back control. Building these boundaries requires you to internalize one critical mindset shift. You do not need anyone's permission to protect your assets. You do not need to apologize for having standards. A boundary is not a rejection of another person. It is an acceptance of your own self-worth. The scripts are simple. The execution is what matters. When asked to do free work, my current workload is at full capacity, but I would be happy to quote you for this new project. When pressured to make a quick decision, I have a policy of never making financial decisions without 48 hours of review. I will get back to you on Friday. When a client pushes back on your price, I understand that you are working with a budget. My price reflects the value and the results I deliver. I am confident you will find the investment is worth it. Notice that none of these statements is emotional. They are declarations of fact. They are statements of your professional policy. People respect policy. They argue with feelings. Remove the emotion. State the protocol. Execute. Your task for this chapter is to choose one area where your boundaries are consistently weak. Is it with a specific client, a family member, your boss, your own habit of checking email after work hours? You will define one new non-negotiable boundary. Write it down. I will no longer respond to client emails after 6 p.m. I will no longer lend money to family. I will respond to all requests for extra work with a discussion about reprioritization. Then you will execute it. The first time will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream at you to return to the path of least resistance. This is the moment of truth. This is where you decide whether you will continue to allow your vault to be raided or whether you will finally shut the door. You have audited the cost of silence. Now you must build the infrastructure of wealth. That infrastructure is built brick by brick with every boundary you set and every standard you enforce. You have learned to build the fortress that protects your capital. Now it's time to go on the offensive. It's time to stop waiting for wealth to be given to you and start demanding what you have earned. Chapter 3. Stop waiting to be given. Start asking to receive. You have audited the cost of your silence. You have started building the boundaries that protect your capital. You have moved from a position of defense to one of control. But control is not the end goal. Control is the platform from which you launch your attack. Wealth is not accumulated by defense alone. It is accumulated through strategic, calculated, and relentless offense. And the primary weapon of your financial offense is a single, powerful action: the ask. Look around you. Society has conditioned you to be passive, to wait for the promotion, wait to be recognized, wait for the right time, wait for someone else to offer you what you want. This is the mindset of the masses, and it is a blueprint for mediocrity. It is a guarantee of financial dependency. You have been taught that asking for what you want is impolite, aggressive, or arrogant. Let me be clear, this belief is a prison. It is a self-imposed limitation designed to keep you manageable, predictable, and poor. The wealthy understand a fundamental truth that you must now accept as law. The world does not give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand. It gives you what you dare to ask for. You are waiting for a door to open. You are waiting for an invitation. The wealthy do not wait for the door to open, they ask for the key. They understand that opportunity is not found, it is created, and it is made with a direct, unapologetic, and well-reasoned ask. Think about your career. You work hard. You exceed expectations. You believe that your results will speak for themselves. This is a noble fantasy. Your boss is not sitting in their office thinking about how to pay you more. They are considering ways to increase the company's profit. Your financial advancement is your responsibility and yours alone. You don't need their permission to execute your plan. And your plan must involve asking. The same is true for your investments. You are waiting for the perfect stock tip, the perfect market conditions. You are waiting for a sign. The sign is not coming. You must execute your own analysis and then ask for the price you are willing to pay. You must ask your financial advisor the hard questions. You should request better terms from your broker. You must move from being a passive recipient of market forces to an active participant who demands value. This passivity is a disease. We will now cure it. The cure is a system. I call it the rule of 3 asks. It is a framework for turning your passive hopes into active demands. For every major goal, such as a raise, a discount, or a new business deal, you will prepare 3 distinct asks. The first ask, the anchor. This is your primary, well-researched, and confident request. This is not a number you feel you deserve. It is a number backed by data. If you are asking for a raise, you have researched industry benchmarks. You have documented your specific, quantifiable achievements. You will walk into that meeting not as an employee begging for more, but as a strategic asset presenting a business case. Your script is not, "I feel like I deserve a raise." Your script is, "Based on my performance in leading Project X to a 15% increase in efficiency and current market rates for my role, I am requesting a salary adjustment to X." It is factual. It is unemotional. It is an execution. The second ask, the concession. The other party may say no to your first ask. This is where amateurs retreat in defeat. This is where you pivot. The second ask is your pre-planned concession designed to keep the negotiation moving and make them a collaborator in your success. It is not a surrender, it is a strategic maneuver. Your script is, "I understand that the budget may be fixed at this moment. If the salary adjustment isn't possible right now, let's structure a performance-based bonus of Y, contingent on me achieving Z metric in the next 6 months." You have now shifted from a simple request to a joint problem-solving exercise. You are demonstrating flexibility while keeping your eyes on the prize. The third ask, the non-monetary value. If both monetary asks are rejected, the negotiation is still not over. The third ask moves to non-monetary value, which still has a direct impact on your life and career. This is where you request additional vacation days, a budget for professional development, a more flexible work schedule, or a title change that positions you for your next significant career advancement. Your script is, "I respect the company's financial constraints. To ensure my continued growth and commitment, let's formalize an agreement for an additional week of paid leave and a commitment to sponsor my certification in Z." This ensures you never walk away empty-handed. It trains both the other person and you that every negotiation yields a return. This system removes the emotion. It eliminates the fear. It is not about what you feel. It is about what you execute. You are not improvising. You are following a protocol. As a professional, you come to the table prepared to win on multiple fronts. Your task for this chapter is to identify one thing you want but have been waiting for: a raise, a discount on a significant purchase, better terms from a supplier. You will do your research, you will prepare your rule of three asks, you will write down your scripts for the anchor, the concession, and the non-monetary value. You will anticipate the objections. You will prepare your data-backed responses. This preparation is 90% of the battle. The ask itself is merely the final logical step in a well-executed plan. You must internalize this offensive mindset. Every price tag is a suggestion. Every no is an opening for a different kind of yes. Every passive hope must be converted into a direct request. The world is a vending machine. It will give you nothing if you simply stand and stare at it. Wealth flows to those who are willing to insert the currency of courage and punch the button for what they want. The wealthy do not wait for the door to open, they ask for the key. You have now learned to stop waiting and start asking. You've adopted the offensive mindset needed to assert your value. But demanding value in a negotiation is useless if you lose your head in the heat of the moment. Now we must forge your mind into a weapon of absolute composure. Chapter 4. Weaponize your composure, winning when they lose theirs. You have learned to ask. You have adopted the offensive mindset. You are prepared to walk into any room and demand your value. But preparation is only half the battle. The map is not the territory. The moment you enter a high-stakes negotiation, the moment real pressure is applied, your opponent will not be the person across the table. It will be the wiring inside your own brain. Every negotiation, every complicated conversation is a battle. But it is not a battle of numbers or logic first. It is a battle of biology. When the stakes are high, your ancient survival instincts kick in, your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, your brain is flooded with cortisol. This is the fight or flight response. It is designed to save you from a predator on the savannah. It is a catastrophic liability in a boardroom. In that state of reaction, you cannot think strategically. You can only survive. You will concede too early. You will reveal information you intended to hold back. You will make permanent financial decisions based on temporary, irrational emotions. This is the biological trap. And your opponent, whether they know it or not, is counting on you to fall into it. Today, you will learn to dismantle that trap. You will learn that composure is not a passive state of being. It is not the absence of emotion. Composure is an offensive weapon. It is the deliberate, disciplined control of your own internal state, used to dominate the external environment. When the person across from you loses control, they are not winning. They are handing you the keys to their entire strategy. Emotion is expensive. Composure is profitable. When someone raises their voice, resorts to anger, frustration, or manipulation, they are broadcasting a signal. They are signaling that they have run out of logical arguments. They are signaling that they are operating from a position of weakness, not strength. Their emotional outburst is a gift. It is pure, unfiltered data. It tells you exactly where their insecurities are. It tells you where their line is. Your job is not to meet their emotion with your own. Your job is to receive that gift, analyze that data, and use it to press your advantage with absolute, surgical calm. This is the fundamental asymmetry of power. The person who remains in control of their emotions controls the entire interaction. It is not about what you feel. It is about what you execute. So how do you execute composure under fire? You do it with a system, a protocol. 3 tactical tools you will drill until they are an automatic response. Tool number 1, the tactical breath. This is your first line of defense. The moment you feel the heat rising, the moment you think the biological hijack is beginning, you initiate a simple, covert action. You breathe. But not just any breath. You execute a box breath. Inhale through your nose for a slow count of 4. Hold that breath for a count of 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Repeat. This is not a relaxation exercise. This is a physiological override. It is a direct command to your nervous system. It slows your heart rate. It clears the cortisol from your brain. It pulls you out of the reactive animal brain and puts your logical, strategic mind back in command. While your opponent is burning energy, flailing in a sea of their own emotion, you are calmly reoxygenating your brain, seeing the board with perfect clarity. The 4 seconds you take to breathe feel like an eternity to you, but they are unnoticeable to your opponent. It is your secret weapon. Tool number 2, the observer mindset. Emotion gets its power by making a situation personal. You feel attacked, insulted, or disrespected. The observer mindset is the practice of mentally severing that personal connection. You will train yourself to take a step back, inside your own mind, and become a third-party observer of the situation. You are not being criticized as John or Jane. You are a scientist watching 2 subjects in a lab. You are a strategist analyzing game film. You will say to yourself, "Interesting." The subject is elevating their vocal tone. Their face is flushing. This indicates a high level of stress around this particular point. Note that for later. This mental detachment insulates you. Their words lose their sting because they are no longer directed at you. They are produced at the role you are playing. This allows you to absorb the outburst without reacting to it, preserving your cognitive capital for what truly matters, your strategic response. Tool number 3, verbal deflection and redirection. Your composure must be external as well as internal. When faced with an emotional barrage, you do not argue with the emotion. Arguing with an emotional person is like wrestling with a ghost. You will only exhaust yourself. Instead, you deflect the emotion and redirect the conversation back to the facts. You will master a few key phrases. When they get loud, you get quiet. You let them finish. You pause for a beat longer than is comfortable. Then you say, in a calm, low tone, "I can see that you're passionate about this point." You have acknowledged their emotion without validating it. Then you redirect. Let's set the emotion aside for a moment and go back to the numbers on page 3. Another powerful script. I understand your frustration. Pause. Help me understand the logic behind your position. You are refusing to engage on the battlefield of emotion. You are dragging them against their will back onto your chosen battlefield, logic, facts, and data. This is how you control the frame of the conversation. Emotion is expensive. Composure is profitable. Imagine a negotiation to dissolve a business partnership. Your partner is yelling and accusing you of cheating them. They are throwing insults. The amateur meets this with anger, and the meeting descends into a shouting match where lawyers win and both partners lose. The professional does this. They initiate the tactical breath. They activate the observer mindset, noting he is most emotional when I mention the client list. That is his point of weakness. They let him finish his tirade. They pause. Then they say, I understand that this is a difficult process. Let's focus on what we can agree on. We both want a fair and equitable outcome. The valuation we receive from the neutral third party puts the number at X. Let's start there. The professional refused to get drawn into the mud. They absorbed the emotional energy, let their opponent exhaust himself, and calmly redirected the conversation back to the objective facts. That is the key to long-term wealth. It is the discipline to execute a plan, even when your biology is screaming at you to abandon it. Your task is to practice. You must put yourself in controlled, low-stakes situations and practice these techniques. When a cashier is rude, practice the tactical breath. When a family member is complaining, practice the observer mindset. When a colleague is emotional, practice verbal redirection. You must forge this composure in the fires of small daily interactions so that it is an unbreakable weapon when millions are on the line. You have learned to arm yourself with composure, the ultimate defense against irrationality. You have mastered control over others by mastering control of yourself. But the negotiations you have with others are secondary. The real war is fought and won inside your own mind every single day. Chapter 5. The most important negotiation is with your own bad habits. You have learned to audit the cost of silence. You have built boundaries to protect your capital. You have learned to ask for what you are worth, and you have forged the composure to win when pressure is applied. You have been given the weapons to win the external battles. But all of those victories will be meaningless if you are losing the war inside your own skull. Every day from the moment you wake up, you are in a negotiation. It is the most important, high-stakes, and relentless negotiation of your life. It is not with a boss, a client, or a competitor. It is with the undisciplined, emotional, and comfort-seeking voice in your head. This voice is your single greatest adversary. It is the architect of your financial failures. It is the saboteur of your best-laid plans. It is the ghost in your machine, whispering the sweet lies of mediocrity. You deserve a reward. You can start saving next month. It's just this one time. You're too tired to review your finances tonight. Every time you listen to that voice, you lose the negotiation, and each loss is a transaction. You are trading long-term wealth for short-term comfort. You are selling your future for the price of an impulse. There is no external force holding you back. There is only this failed internal conversation. You cannot win a negotiation for a $10,000 raise if you cannot win the negotiation with yourself over a $100 impulsive purchase. You must conquer the undisciplined voice in your head before you negotiate with anyone else. This internal war is fought on 3 primary fronts. Front number 1, the battle against emotional spending. The undisciplined voice is a master of emotional manipulation. It connects your spending habits to your emotions. When you feel stressed, you buy something to feel better. You feel successful, so you buy something to celebrate. You feel bored, so you scroll through online stores for a hit of dopamine. In every case, you are allowing a temporary feeling to make a permanent financial decision. This is a catastrophic failure of protocol. It is not about what you feel, it is about what you execute. The plan for your budget, your savings goal, is the strategy. Your feelings are the battlefield noise, the distractions designed to pull you off course. When the urge to spend emotionally arises, you must recognize it for what it is, a tactical move by your adversary. Your counter move is not to pretend the feeling isn't there. It is to acknowledge it and then deliberately execute your plan anyway. That is the discipline that builds wealth. Front number 2, the battle against procrastination. The undisciplined voice loves tomorrow. Tomorrow is the magical land where all challenging tasks are easy. Tomorrow you will set up the automatic investment. Tomorrow you will rebalance your portfolio. Tomorrow you will make the tough financial call. But procrastination is just a euphemism for fear. It is the fear of making a mistake, the fear of facing the numbers, the fear of commitment. And so you wait for the perfect time. The perfect time does not exist. It is a mirage created by your fear to keep you in the desert of inaction. Every day you wait to invest is the day your capital is not working for you. You are paying a tax on your own indecision. Remember the law. It's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. You have a choice with your capital. You can deploy it today or let procrastination keep it on the sidelines where it loses value to inflation every second. Front number 3, the battle against your own rules. You create a budget, you set up a system, you have a plan. The undisciplined voice hates plans. It thrives in chaos. It will constantly look for loopholes. It will whisper, "This is an exception. The budget doesn't apply to this. We can make up for it later." Breaking your own rules goes beyond just overspending. You are telling yourself that your own word is worthless. You are eroding the very foundation of self-trust. If you cannot trust yourself to follow a simple financial rule, how can you possibly trust yourself in a high-stakes negotiation? You can't. Your inconsistency in private creates weakness in public. Conquer the undisciplined voice in your head before you negotiate with anyone else. So how do you win this war? You stop treating it like a casual conversation. You formalize it. You turn it into a contract. You will draft a document called your personal financial contract. This is your written, non-negotiable treaty with yourself. It is the constitution for your personal economy. It will contain 3 sections. Section 1. The non-negotiable articles. These are your laws. They must be simple, binary, and clear. Not, "I will try to save more," but "I will automatically transfer 20% of my income to my investment account on the first day of every month." Not, "I should spend less on impulse buys," but "I will enforce a mandatory 48-hour waiting period on any non-essential purchase over $150. These are not guidelines, they are unbreakable laws. Section 2. The Declaration of Purpose. Why are you doing this? What is the goal? You must state it in writing. The purpose of this contract is to achieve a net worth of $1 million by age 45, enabling me to live life entirely on my own terms. This is your why. When the undisciplined voice attacks, you do not argue with it. You read it in your declaration of purpose. You remind it and yourself of what is at stake. Section 3. The Enforcement Clause. A law without a consequence is a suggestion. Your contract must have teeth. For every rule, there must be a predefined consequence for breaking it. If I violate the 48-hour waiting period, I must immediately transfer the full amount of the intended purchase into my long-term investment account. This creates immediate and painful feedback. It recodes your brain to associate breaking the rules with financial pain, not pleasure. It forces accountability. This contract is your weapon. It is the system you will execute without emotion. It is the final word in your internal negotiation. There is no more debate. The decision has already been made. Your only job is to execute the terms. Your task is to write this contract. Today, not tomorrow. You will define your laws, your purpose, and your consequences. You will sign it. You will put it somewhere you will see it every single day. This is the ultimate act of taking control. It is the final declaration that you are the one in charge of your financial destiny, not the fleeting, undisciplined voice of your lower self. This is the most challenging work you will do, as it's often overlooked. There is no external applause. There is only you, your word, and your actions. This is where true wealth is forged, in the silent daily discipline of honoring the promises you make to yourself. Conquer the undisciplined voice in your head before you negotiate with anyone else. You have now learned to win the war within, to bind your own bad habits with the chains of a formal contract. You have embraced radical accountability. Now you must apply that same ruthless, unemotional discipline to everything you own and everyone you work with. It's time to become a ruthless auditor of your entire life. Chapter 6. Fire your underperforming assets, people, stocks, and beliefs. You have won the internal negotiation. You have bound your impulses with the ironclad logic of a personal contract. You have achieved self-mastery. Now you must project that same ruthless discipline onto the world. You must look at every single component of your life, every investment, every relationship, every belief, not as a part of who you are, but as an asset in a portfolio. Your life is the ultimate portfolio. Your time, money, energy, and focus are your capital. And the first non-negotiable duty of a portfolio manager is to cut the dead weight. The goal is to identify underperforming assets that drain resources without producing a return, and to liquidate them without emotion, hesitation, or apology. The single greatest enemy you will face in this process is sentimentality. Sentimentality is the poison of the amateur investor. It is the emotional attachment to a losing position. It is the voice that whispers, "But I've held that stock for so long. But we have so much history together. But I've always believed this to be true." Sentimentality is the anchor that chains you to your past failures and prevents you from sailing toward your future wealth. Today, we cut that chain. Sentimentality is the enemy of wealth. Be a ruthless auditor of your life. We will audit your portfolio in 3 distinct asset classes. Asset Class 1, your financial holdings. Open your brokerage account, look at your portfolio. I guarantee you have at least one position that is bleeding red. A stock you bought on a tip, a fund that has consistently underperformed the market. You hold on to it. Why? You are operating on the most dangerous financial strategy in existence, the strategy of hope. You hope it will come back. Hope is not a strategy. It is a financial death wish. While you are hoping, your capital is trapped. It is a prisoner in a failing enterprise. You must understand the concept of opportunity cost. The true cost of holding that losing stock is not just the money you've already lost. It is the gains you are failing to make by not having that capital deployed in a winner. You must perform a ruthless, unemotional audit. For every single holding in your portfolio, you will ask one question. Knowing what I know today, and if I had the cash in my hand, would I buy this asset right now at its current price? If the answer is anything other than an immediate and resounding yes, you sell it. Today. Not tomorrow. You do not care if you sell it at a loss. The loss already happened. You are just now admitting it. Taking a loss is a strategic act of redeploying capital from a losing battle to a winning one. That's the key to long-term wealth. You have a choice with your capital. Let it rot in the graveyard of your past mistakes, or put it to work on the front lines of your future success. Sentimentality is the enemy of wealth. Be a ruthless auditor of your life. Asset Class 2, your human capital. This is where the audit becomes truly difficult. You must now apply that same cold logic to the people in your life, your employees, your business partners, and even your clients. A person who consistently underperforms, drains your energy, or costs you money is not a teammate. They are an underperforming asset. Consider the employee who consistently misses deadlines, leaving you and your team to clean up their mess. Think of the business partner who is full of ideas but devoid of execution. Think of the client who pays late, demands endless revisions, and consumes 80% of your time while providing only 10% of your revenue. You keep them around out of loyalty, out of a fear of confrontation, out of sentimentality. But this loyalty is a betrayal of your own ambition. It is a betrayal of the high performers on your team, whose efforts are being diluted by the dead weight. The complicated conversation you are avoiding, the firing, the ending of the contract, is not an act of cruelty. It is a fiduciary duty to the health of your enterprise. Your system for this must be as unemotional as your stock audit. First, you establish clear, quantifiable key performance indicators, KPIs, such as sales targets, project deadlines, and client satisfaction scores. The numbers do not have feelings. They do not have excuses. They simply state the facts of performance. Second, you present the data. John, your performance metric was X for the last quarter. The standard is Y. This is not sustainable. Here is the plan to fix it over the next 30 days. We will review your progress every week. Third, you execute the outcome. If after the probationary period the numbers are still not met, the decision is made on your behalf. You are not firing a person, you are liquidating an underperforming asset. The conversation is direct and brief. John, we implemented the performance plan and the required metrics were not met. As a result, today will be your last day. It is not personal. It is a business decision driven by data. Sentimentality is the enemy of wealth. Be a ruthless auditor of your life. Asset Class 3, your mental models. This is the deepest, most critical part of the audit. You must examine the beliefs you hold about money, success, and yourself. These beliefs are the operating system of your mind. If you are running on outdated, corrupt software, you will produce flawed results, no matter how hard you work. What are your limiting beliefs? Be honest. Write them down. I'm just not a numbers person. It takes money to make money. Wanting to be rich is greedy. I'll never be as successful as they are. These are not harmless thoughts. These are underperforming mental assets. They occupy valuable space in your consciousness and produce a negative return. They are the internal narratives that justify your inaction and sabotage your success. You must fire them. You fire a belief by challenging it with evidence and replacing it with a more powerful, productive one. You take the belief, I'm not good with money, and you cross it out. You write its replacement. I am a student of wealth. I am capable of learning and mastering any financial skill necessary for my success. Then you act on it. You read a book. You take a course. You prove the old belief wrong with a new action. You are not your feelings or your old thoughts. You are your actions. This is the ultimate audit. It is the process of examining every corner of your life and asking one brutal question. Is this asset, this stock, this person, this belief actively contributing to my primary objective? Or is it holding me back? If it is holding you back, you must have the courage to cut it. It will be hard. Your sentimentality will scream in protest. But your ambition must shout louder. The future you want to build is more important than the past you are comfortable with. You have now learned the ruthless discipline of the audit. You have identified the dead weight in your portfolio. You know what must be cut, but knowing is not enough. To make the cut clean, decisive, and final requires preparation. It requires a blueprint for victory. Chapter 7. The Pre-Conversation Blueprint. Never walk into a money talk unprepared. You have learned to audit your life. You have identified the underperforming assets. You have made the ruthless, data-driven decision to cut the dead weight. The target is identified. Now you must plan the execution. The amateur believes that success in a negotiation is about charisma, quick thinking, and improvisation in the heat of the moment. This is a fantasy. It is the mindset of a gambler, and the house always wins. The professional understands a fundamental and unbreakable law of power. High-stakes conversations are not won in the room. They are won long before you ever set foot in it. They are won in the silent, disciplined hours of meticulous preparation. What you see as a conversation is merely the final act of a play that has already been written. It is the public collection of a victory that was secured in private. Your performance in the room is simply a reflection of the quality of your preparation. If you fail, it is not because you said the wrong thing in the moment, but because you failed to do the right work beforehand. Victory is not achieved in the conversation, it is merely collected. Spontaneity is for amateurs. Professionals operate from a blueprint. Today, you will receive that blueprint. This is the 5-point victory blueprint, the exact pre-conversation protocol you will use for every significant financial discussion for the rest of your life. You will never again walk into a money talk unprepared. Point 1. Define your absolute best outcome, ABO. Before you do anything else, you must define victory with surgical precision. I want a raise is not a goal. It is a wish. It is weak, vague, and worthless. Your ABO must be specific, quantifiable, and written down. My absolute best outcome is a 15% salary increase from $100,000 to $115,000, effective the 1st of next month. That is a target. It is clear, it is measurable. It becomes the North Star for your entire strategy. Without this precision, you are a ship without a rudder, and you will be pushed wherever the currents of the conversation take you. Point 2. Define your non-negotiable walk-away point, NWP. This is the single most important source of your power. Your NWP is your red line. It is the minimum acceptable outcome below which you will walk away from the deal. You must determine this number in the cold, unemotional state of preparation, not in the heated, high-pressure environment of the negotiation. My non-negotiable walk-away point is a 7% raise. Anything less than that and I will politely thank them for their time and begin executing my plan to find a new position. Knowing your NWP liberates you from the fear of no. It gives you the power to mean it when you say, I am prepared to walk away. Most people are terrified of that moment, so they never draw the line. Without a line, you have no leverage. You are a hostage to whatever the other side is willing to give you. Your NWP is your declaration of independence. Point 3. Anticipate and script objections. The amateur walks into a negotiation only to be surprised by pushback. The professional has already heard every objection a dozen times in their own mind and has prepared a data-backed, unemotional response for each one. You will take a piece of paper. On the left side, you will write down every possible objection they could raise. The budget is tight this year. You're already paid at the top of your band. We need to see more from you in the X area. On the right side, you will write your scripted, rehearsed response. For the budget is tight, your script reads, I understand the constraints, which is why I focused my efforts on Project X, which saved the company $250,000 this year. My requested raise of $15,000 represents only a 6% share of the value I have already created. You are not arguing. You are presenting irrefutable data. It's not about what you feel, it's about what you execute. Point 4. Script your opening line. The first 30 seconds of any negotiation determine the frame for the entire conversation. The person who sets the frame controls the outcome. The amateur walks in and says, "Thanks for meeting with me. I wanted to talk about my future here." This is a weak, supplicating posture. It cedes all control. The professional walks in and takes immediate command with a prepared opening. Thank you for your time. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the value I've delivered over the past year and to align my compensation with that performance. As you know, I led Project X. You have stated the agenda. You have anchored the conversation in value, not need. You are leading. They are now in a position of reaction. Point 5. Control the environment. Where the conversation happens, when it happens, and how it happens are not trivial details. They are tactical advantages. If possible, you control the territory. A negotiation on your home turf, your office, is always preferable to one on theirs. You control the timing. You never have a serious money conversation on a Friday afternoon when everyone is exhausted. You schedule it for a Tuesday morning when minds are sharp. You control the medium. You never negotiate your salary over email, as it is easy to decline. You do it face-to-face or on a video call where human connection creates real leverage. You leave nothing to chance. Let's role-play this. You are a consultant renegotiating a major contract. Your ABO, a 20% increase in your monthly retainer. Your NWP, a 10% increase. Anything less and you will terminate the contract. Your anticipated objections: your competitors are cheaper. Your scripted response: that may be true, but in the last 6 months, my work has directly resulted in a 30% increase in your lead generation. We are discussing value and ROI, not just price. Your opening line: good morning. I've requested this meeting to review the incredible results we've achieved together in the first half of the year and to present a revised contract that reflects the increased value and my deeper integration into your strategic goals. Your environment: you scheduled the call for 10 a.m. on a Wednesday via a video conference that you are hosting. You see the difference? You are not showing up and hoping for the best. You are showing up to collect a victory that was already won. Your preparation has made the desired outcome all but inevitable. Your task is clear. For the next hard conversation you identified in the last chapter, you will complete the 5-point victory blueprint. You will write it down. You will rehearse it. You will know your numbers, your scripts, and your lines so well that you can deliver them without emotion. Victory is not achieved in the conversation. It is merely collected. You now have the complete strategic blueprint for any negotiation. You know how to prepare for the battle. Now it is time to master the specific words you will use on the battlefield itself. The language that builds leverage, projects power, and closes the deal. Chapter 8. Master the language of leverage. You have the blueprint. You have done the preparation. You are walking into the room not to fight a battle, but to collect a preordained victory. Now we arrive at the final layer of execution: the words themselves. Understand this: in a negotiation, words are not tools of communication. They are weapons. They are levers. They are the instruments you use to shift the balance of power, to create pressure, and to frame the entire interaction in your favor. The person with the weaker vocabulary will always lose to the person with the superior linguistic strategy. Always. The amateur uses language to express their feelings. I feel I deserve more. I was hoping for a better price. I think this is a fair offer. This is the language of supplication. It is the language of a child asking for permission. It signals uncertainty, cedes all authority, and practically begs the other party to reject your position. It is weak and it will keep you poor. The professional uses language to construct a reality. They use words to establish facts, to control the frame, and to make their desired outcome seem like the only logical conclusion. It is not about what you feel, it is about what you execute. And you execute with a precise, disciplined, and weaponized vocabulary. Control the language and you control the negotiation. Today you will discard the weak language of the amateur and you will be armed with the leverage language of the professional. Weapon 1. Purge the word think, replace it with the data shows. Your thoughts and feelings are irrelevant in a negotiation. They are subjective and easily dismissed. Data is objective, authoritative, and difficult to argue with. The amateur says, I think I should be paid more. The professional says, the data shows that the market rate for this role, with my level of experience, is 15% higher than my current salary. The amateur says, I feel this is a good investment. The professional says the analysis shows a projected 12% annual return based on the last 5 years of performance. You are no longer offering an opinion. You are stating a fact. You are removing yourself from the argument and letting the data do the fighting for you. Weapon 2. Eliminate the question. Is that the best you can do? This is the single weakest question in any negotiation. It is a dead end. It asks for a simple yes or no answer, and the easy answer is always yes. It hands all the power to the other person. You will replace it with a collaborative, open-ended command. The amateur asks, "Is that the best you can do?" The professional states, "This is a good starting point. What options are available to bridge the gap between your number and my target of X?" See the difference. The first is a plea. The second is an assumption of partnership. It assumes the negotiation will continue and invites the other person to help you solve the problem of reaching your desired outcome. You have reframed them from an adversary into a collaborator, but on a journey to your destination. Weapon 3. Master the strategic pause. The most powerful statements in a negotiation are often the ones you don't make. The amateur is terrified of silence. They feel an overwhelming urge to fill the void. They talk when they should be listening. They reveal information. They signal nervousness. The professional wields silence as a tool of pressure. After presenting your number and stating your terms, you stop talking. You hold eye contact. You wait. The silence becomes a vacuum that the other person will feel an intense psychological need to fill. They will start talking. They will begin to justify their position. They will reveal their weaknesses. They will negotiate with themselves. The first person to speak after a key point is made loses the argument. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. That's the key to long-term wealth. Weapon 4. Use summarizing for control. When the other party makes a long, emotional, or confusing point, do not argue with it. Control it. You do this by summarizing their position back to them, but framed in your own neutral terms. They say, "This is just impossible. With our budget and the market and everything going on, we just can't make that kind of number work." You wait. You pause. Then you say, in a calm tone, "So just to ensure I understand correctly, the primary obstacle here is a budgetary constraint, not an issue with the value I'm providing." Is that accurate? You have done 3 things. You have demonstrated that you are listening, which de-escalates emotion. You have stripped away all their emotional noise and reduced their argument to a single manageable variable, the budget. And you have framed it in a way that separates their problem, their budget, from your value, which remains undisputed. From here, you can begin to solve for that one variable. You control the language and you control the negotiation. Weapon 5. Deploy the word "we." When you reach a sticking point, the amateur makes it a conflict. I need more, but you won't give it to me. This is me versus you. The professional reframes it as a shared problem. We seem to be at a small impasse. How can we work together to find a creative solution here? The word "we" is a powerful psychological trigger. It moves you from opposite sides of the table to the same side, allowing you to look at the problem together. It makes it harder for them to maintain a hardline adversarial stance. It costs you nothing and gains you immense tactical ground. Let's see this in action. An amateur trying to get a discount on a service. $10,000 is a lot. I was hoping for something a little lower. Is that the best you can do? The result? A simple yes and a lost opportunity. A professional using leverage language. The value of the service is clear. Based on the data from 2 other providers, the competitive market rate is closer to $8,500. This is a good starting point, but we need to find a way to align the price with the market value. How can we work together to get closer to that number? The provider pushes back. You use the strategic pause. You wait. They start talking, justifying their price. You use summarizing for control. So what I'm hearing is that your main constraint is the cost of your raw materials, not your labor. Is that correct? You have now taken complete control of the negotiation. You are not arguing about feelings. You are dissecting a business problem. Your task is to practice this. In low-stakes conversations, start purging the weak words. Start using the language of data. Practice the strategic pause with a cashier. Reframe a family disagreement using we. Like any weapon, this language must be drilled until its use is second nature. Your words are your tools. It is time to sharpen them. You now possess the blueprint for preparation and the specific linguistic weapons to use in the room. You know how to build leverage to get a yes. But the ultimate form of leverage, the most powerful word in the arsenal of the wealthy, is not about getting to yes. It is about having the courage to say no. Chapter 9: The Power of the Strategic No. You have the blueprint for preparation. You have the language of leverage. You have been armed with the tools to get to yes. You believe this is the pinnacle of negotiation. You are wrong. The ultimate expression of power, the single most potent wealth-building tool in your entire arsenal, is not the ability to get to yes. It is the discipline, the courage, and the strategic foresight to deliver a calm, firm, and final no. The world is designed to distract you. It is a relentless assault on your most valuable and finite resources, your time, your focus, and your capital. Every day you are bombarded with once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, urgent requests, and other people's priorities masquerading as your own. Every yes you give to these distractions is a no to your own plan. Every minute you spend on a low-value task is a minute stolen from your high-value ambition. The amateur thinks that success comes from saying yes to every opportunity. This is the path to burnout, mediocrity, and financial chaos. The professional understands that true success, breakthrough wealth, is achieved by saying no to almost everything. Every no you say builds a fortress around the yes that truly matters. Why is saying no so difficult? It is a failure of boundaries and a fear of sentimentality. You fear missing out. You fear being seen as difficult or unhelpful. You fear damaging a relationship. These fears are emotional traps. They are the enemies of strategic execution. A no delivered for the right reasons is not an act of rejection. It is an act of profound self-respect. It is a declaration that your mission, goals, and financial plan take precedence over the temporary discomfort of a slightly awkward conversation. You must learn to differentiate between a reactive no and a strategic no. A reactive no is emotional. A strategic no is a pre-calculated business decision based on your master plan. It is not personal. It is protocol. Let's operationalize the strategic no across 3 critical domains. Domain 1, the no to bad opportunities. This is your defense against financial predators and well-meaning fools. The world is full of them. The friend with a can't-miss restaurant idea. The unsolicited email promising absurd crypto returns. Any investment that relies on urgency, secrecy, or social pressure is a trap. The amateur gets drawn in. They don't want to come across as rude or cynical. The professional has a pre-scripted automatic response. It is a policy-based no. They say, "You have to get in on this now, the price is about to explode." You say, "Thank you for thinking of me, but my investment policy prevents me from making any decisions outside of my pre-approved asset allocation. I wish you the best of luck." There is no debate. There is no discussion of the opportunity's merits. You have not rejected them. You have simply stated that your internal protocol, your policy, makes it impossible. This is an unemotional, impenetrable defense. It protects your capital from the single greatest threat it faces: impulsive, undisciplined decision-making. Domain 2, the no to uncompensated value, scope creep. In your business or career, you will constantly be asked for just a little more. Could you just whip up a quick report? Could you just sit in on this one extra call? These requests may appear harmless, but they constitute a form of theft. It is the theft of your time and expertise. The amateur says yes to being a team player, but they are simply training their clients and bosses that their time has no value. The professional uses a no that pivots into a new negotiation. It is a no, but statement. They ask, "Can you add a new feature set to the project?" "It shouldn't take too long." You reply, "That's an excellent idea." Although it falls outside the scope of our current agreement, I'd be happy to draft a new proposal outlining the costs and timeline to get that done. Shall I send that over this afternoon? You have not said no to the work. You have said no to doing it for free. You have reinforced your value. You have respected your boundaries. And you have turned their request into a new revenue opportunity. This is how you protect your most valuable asset, your time. Every no you say builds a fortress around the yes that truly matters. Domain 3, the no to personal and financial drains. This is often the hardest domain, the request from family and friends, the loan that you know will never be repaid, the commitment to a social event that drains your time and energy with no return. The amateur says yes out of guilt or obligation, creating resentment and financial strain. They allow their personal balance sheet to be damaged by someone else's lack of planning. The professional understands that they cannot save anyone else if their own ship is sinking. They say no with compassion, but with absolute firmness. They ask, "Can I borrow $5,000? I'm in a tough spot." You reply, "I care about you, and because of that, I have a firm rule to never lend money to friends or family, as it can damage the relationship. While I can't give you a loan, I am happy to sit down with you for an hour this weekend to help you work on a budget." You have protected your capital while still offering real, valuable support. You have said no to the financial request, but yes to the relationship. You have maintained your boundary and your integrity. Your no is a filter. It is the guardian at the gate of your life. Its only job is to ask one question of every request that arrives. Does this directly and significantly contribute to my primary mission? If the answer is not a clear and immediate yes, then it must be a clear and immediate no. Every time you deliver a strategic no, you are not closing a door. You are clearing a path. You are preserving your capital, your time, and your focus for the one or two opportunities that will truly change your life. Wealth is not built by chasing 1,000 small chances. It is built by identifying the few monumental ones and having the resources, time, money, and focus to say a massive all-in yes when they appear. You have now learned that the power of no is the foundation of strategic focus. It keeps your word, your time, and your money from being diluted. But a verbal agreement, whether it is a yes or a no, is ultimately fragile. It is subject to memory, interpretation, and denial. To make your agreements absolute and binding, you must move them from the spoken word to the written record. Chapter 10. Your word is worthless. Put it in writing, always. We have arrived at the final and perhaps most important commandment of financial discipline. It is a rule so absolute, so uncompromising, that to violate it is to instantly invalidate all the work you have done up to this point. Prepare for a truth that runs contrary to everything society has taught you about honor, trust, and relationships. Your word is worthless. My word is worthless. The word of your client, your boss, or our partner in the realm of business and finance is worthless. Not because people are malicious or dishonest, but because human memory is fallible, because incentives change, and because when money is on the line, interpretation becomes a creative art form. The only truth that survives the pressure of time and greed is the one that is written down. If it wasn't written down, it was never said. The romantic notion of a deal sealed with a handshake is a relic of a bygone era. It is a luxury you cannot afford. It is a trap for the naive. Every verbal agreement you make is not a contract. It is an invitation to future conflict. Every promise not documented is merely a temporary truce waiting to be broken. Why? Because human memory is not a recording device. It is an editor. After every conversation, both parties walk away with their own version of reality, a version that is subtly tweaked to suit their own self-interest. A week later, those two versions have drifted apart. A month later, they are on entirely different planets. When it comes time to execute, you suddenly remember two completely different agreements, and the person without the written record always loses. Today, you will learn the protocol that will protect you. It is simple, immediately actionable, and non-negotiable. After every single meaningful conversation, meeting, or phone call where money, deadlines, or deliverables were discussed, you will do one thing. You will send a follow-up email. This is not just an email, it is your weapon. It is your evidence. It is your insurance policy against selective memory. We will call it the confirmation and accountability email. Its structure is always the same. Part 1. The polite opening. Thank you for the productive meeting today. I just want to summarize the key points to ensure we're on the same page. Part 2. The bulleted summary of facts. Here you outline the key points and decisions from the conversation as facts. We agreed to expand the project scope to include features X and Y. We confirmed the budget for this additional work is $2,500. The deadline for delivery of these new features is November 1st. Part 3. The bulleted action items. Here, you assign responsibility. My action. I will send over the updated contract proposal by 5 p.m. tomorrow. You're the client's action. You will provide access to the necessary APIs by the end of this week. Part 4. The call for correction. This is the critical part that shifts the burden of proof to the other party. Please review this and let me know if any of this misrepresents your understanding. Otherwise, I will proceed based on this summary. Do you see what you have done? You have created a written record of reality. By inviting them to correct it, you force them to either agree with your version by their silence or to clarify any misunderstanding immediately. Silence becomes consent. If it wasn't written down, it was never said. Let's role-play this. Scenario 1, the freelancer and the client. The client verbally agrees to 3 rounds of revisions. You send the confirmation and accountability email. A month later, after the 5th round of revisions, the client asks for a 6th. You simply forward the original email with the sentence, "As per our original agreement, we have now exceeded the number of included revisions. I would be happy to quote you for any additional work." The discussion is over. Scenario 2. The employee and the boss. Your boss promises you in a meeting that if you successfully bring the project in under budget, you will receive 10% of the savings as a bonus. You send the confirmation and accountability email. 6 months later, you save the company $50,000. When their memory of the promised $5,000 bonus becomes hazy, you have the written record you sent them, which they never disputed. You have leverage. You may be thinking, but that's so formal. I don't want them to think I don't trust them. This is the sentimentality trap we have discussed. You must rewire your thinking. Documentation is not a sign of distrust. It is a sign of professionalism. Amateurs leave things ambiguous and rely on goodwill. Professionals eliminate ambiguity to protect both parties. A clear written record does not damage relationships, it preserves them. Misunderstandings and unmet expectations destroy relationships. Your email is the vaccine against that poison. Your task is to make this protocol a reflex. It will become as automatic as breathing. Every conversation about money, every meeting with deliverables, every phone call involves agreeing on a deadline. A written record will follow every single one. No exceptions, no excuses. This is the final piece of your armor. Your boundaries are your walls. Your negotiation skills are your sword. Your composure is your shield. Your discipline is your strength. And your written documentation is the unbreakable steel that holds it all together. You have now built your financial fortress, piece by piece. You have learned to defend your assets, to attack opportunity, and to win the war in your own mind. You have been given the 10 keys to absolute financial control. The time for learning is over. The time for execution begins now. You have reached the end of this audiobook, but you are at the beginning of your financial transformation. We have established the truth: your silence has a cost, and you have been paying it for too long. We have proven that your boundaries are your bank account. That composure is a weapon, that the most important negotiation is with yourself. You now have the blueprint, the scripts, and the mindset. But knowledge without action is worthless. The conversations you are avoiding are the very walls standing between you and the wealth you deserve. If this audiobook has armed you for the battles ahead, your next actions are clear. Subscribe to this channel for your weekly masterclass in financial strategy. Share this audiobook with one person who is still paying the silence tax. And comment below with the first hard conversation you commit to having. Because public declaration is the first step to victory. You have now learned to master the external art of conversation. But the war is also won internally. Your journey does not end here. On your screen now is your next essential lesson. Wealth psychology. Why emotional reaction will keep you poor. Click it to learn that wealth isn't about luck. It's about psychology. Master your fear, greed, and impatience to break the cycle of financial failure once and for all. The time for listening is over. The time for building begins now. Go and build your wealth.